So Learning Target 2.5 is all about linear pairs, vertical angles, and being able to find angle measures from the information you're given. So for angle A, I don't know anything directly about A, so I may actually start somewhere else. I'm going to start with one I know already. I know the measure of angle B is 40 degrees because it's a vertical pair with this 40-degree angle. And I don't actually have to calculate anything, so I don't have to show any work for that. B, is just 40 degrees. Now, B, again, it's not angle B. B is the value of the measurement of that angle. So how did I find B? The angle with measure B is a vertical pair with the 40-degree angle and vertical angles are congruent. So I have B, and I know that that is 40 degrees. D, I can see as a vertical pair with the 70-degree angle, so I can go ahead and fill that one in. Now what I know about C or A, and it doesn't matter which one I do first, is I know that, first of all, these two angles are congruent to each other. What that actually tells me, even though it doesn't necessarily look like it right away, is that A is also congruent to C, because C is a vertical pair with this angle with the two marks on it. A is a vertical pair with this angle with the two marks on it, so these are actually congruent to each other as well. So I chose to find the measure of A. What I know is that this entire larger part here is 180 degrees. So the work I need to show is I'm going to take 180, subtract out the 40-degree angle that I have, subtract out the 70-degree angle, and what that'll leave is these two angles. But since they're congruent to each other, I can take that answer and divide it by 2 to get the measure of A. So 180 minus 40 minus 70 is 70, and 70 divided by 2 is 35 degrees. And I know that C and A are congruent, so C is also 35 degrees. That would be the work I expect to see. Now, you have a standing directions for the entire year. If there's work involved, if there's something you have to calculate, you show good work and not just scratch work. So there's still a calculation here. To find X, it's based on the idea that these two angles form a linear pair, so the sum of their measures is 180 degrees. So I would take X plus the 3X minus 16 and get 180. Well, X plus 3X is 4X. If I add the 16 to undo this minus 16, I would have 196. And then when I divide both sides by 4, X is 49. Now, in this case, you don't have to put 49 degrees because there's already a label on the X. If I just substituted 49 in for this X, it would say 49 degrees. If you did say X is 49 degrees, I did not count off for that though. It said find the measure of the other angle. Well, in this case, one of the angles already measures X, so the one that I don't already know the measure of is the one that's 3X minus 16. I would highly encourage you to do this as 3 times 49 minus 16, which is 147 minus 16. So the measure of the other angle, I do have to have degrees on that. It's 131 degrees. The other way to do this and show work would be to take the 180 minus the 49, because that should be the measure of this angle. The only reason I would recommend doing this first way is then when you get these two, add them together to make sure you get 180. It's a check to make sure that you found the X correctly in the first place.